Very good morning to the viewers of today's webinar on guide on how to design research questionnaire. Very important topic for a research scholar. It's looking that how one can discuss 2 hours on research questionnaire, designing of research questionnaires. Friends, let me share with you as a researcher or as a research scholar, as a student of research. It is the basic and very foremost important topic for any researcher or any research scholar to have understanding on designing of research questionnaire, because whole research is depend on the findings of the research, the response of the research, the responded by the respondents, but how they respond, it is totally depend on the research questionnaire. So it's a very important topic for the research scholars, and I take privilege to welcome Professor, Pro Vice Chancellor, ex-Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Kevin from Kerala University. Our my chairman, the worthy chairman, CA Anuj Goyalji, who happens member of all the 3 institute and very learned, prominent academician also, runs 2 institute. So this is the right platform by right people who would be guiding us on this very important topic, where we have Dr. S. Calvin, we have CA Anuj Goyalji. Both are the very learned, experienced academician, scholar. By them, we would be enlightened on this subject. We have the presence of Mr. Kashyap Bansal, the young and dynamic, by profession is an advocate, and his keen area of interest is research methodology. He is contributing in the committee at various, informally, in various initiatives of the committee as a research scholar. He is from the Lake City, Udaipur, and very dynamic personality the Mr. Kashyap has. And we have the audience, the viewers, learned viewers who has shown their interest to participate in this. That itself shows that our fraternity, our members, how they are interested in this very interesting topic. So with these words, I take privilege to introduce today's speaker, Professor Dr. S. Kevin. Professor, as I told you, this professor has spent almost 30 years of his professional services in academia. He was a lecturer with Kerala University, then he professor and pro vice chancellor for 4 years. And still, I was discussing with him, this is the guru behind a person like Dr. S. Kevin. He is still contributing for the society. He is still giving his words of wisdom to the students, and he is actively engaged with the Kerala University even after he retired as a pro vice chancellor for the Kerala University. He is a doctorate, and he has authored so many books, so many articles. So I think to justify this very important topic on research questionnaire, none other than Dr. S. Kevin would be the appropriate person to address all of us. We have the presence of our own worthy chairman, CA Anuj Goyalji, Central Council member of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. To introduce him, I think he doesn't require any formal introduction. He is the fifth term council member of the ICAI. Most of us are the viewers are the chartered accountant. He doesn't require any formal introduction. But for me also, whenever I interact him, I find a new Anujji within this personality. So I think Kashyapji may be having some other insight about him. So let me take opportunity to request Kashyap Bansalji, Advocate Kashyap Bansalji, to introduce my worthy chairman, C. Anuj Goyalji. Over to Kashyapji.
Thank you. So, C. Anuj Goyalji is a Central Council member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. With his 14 years in council, 3 years in regional council, 6 years in branch He contributed immensely in various capacities. Presently, he is chairman of Research Committee, the oldest committee of ICAI, and Capital Markets and Investors Protection Committee of ICAI. He is also vice chairman of Corporate Laws, Corporate Governments Committee with exemplary academics. He possesses CA, CS, CMA, ICW, LLB, MCOM, DISA, and DIR.
Yeah, thank you, Kashyap Bansalji, for giving a brief intro of our chairman. Or rather, I would say a academic and presenting the present profile of C. Anuj Goyal. Let me share with you a few more words about C. Anuj Goyal ji. I worked with him almost in 4 or 5 committees as a secretary, and he is chairman. So he's a wonderful personality. Let me share with you, last year also he was chairman of the research committee and I was the secretary. It is his visionary direction, his dedication, his hard work. We could have the International Research Award 2020, the first ever in the history of accounting profession, which was considered as a cross-border largest accounting research award in the globe. I think none other than the accounting body in the whole world has such kind of the research, international research award. And it is graced by the jury having the Dr. Inki Ju, who was the immediate past president of IFAC, International Federation of Accountants. So IFAC is having more than 170 countries participation. More than 170 country institution participation, like Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. There are 170 institutions which are the member of this IFAC, and the president of IFAC was the jury chairman. And I'm happy to share with you this year also, Mr. Alan Johnson, the current president of IFAC, has kindly consented to be jury chairman of this year 2020-21 International Research Award. So from this platform, as a secretary to the committee, I extend my thanks to my visionary chairman. At the same time, I urge all the viewers, kindly popularize this award. It is going to be a very, very, very popular international research award in coming days. Although last year itself, at the first initiative itself, we have received around hundreds of the participation across the globe. Around 7 or 8 countries participated in this award. And I think this year we would be receiving more entries. And in the coming days, it would be treated like one of the prestigious awards across the globe in the field of accounting research. So this is done by the able guidance of CA Anuj Goyal ji. Apart from this, he introduced so many schemes. So I am not taking much time, because I would request him in his opening remark, he can disseminate that information to the researchers, because this is the right platform where these information, these things can be shared, because the audience is the right receptive audience who would be interesting to knowing the initiative taken by the research committee. So with these words, I humbly request my worthy chairman, CA Anuj Goyal ji, to offer his opening remarks, words of wisdom, and guide us the takeaway from this session. Over to C. Anuj Goyal ji.
Thank you, Dr. Amit Kumar Agrawal ji, our very young and dynamic secretary of the research committee. I welcome Dr. S. Kevin, our honorable resource person and guest speaker, the ex-vice chancellor of one of the very, very prominent government University of Kerala. He is from God's own country, so I welcome on behalf of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, on behalf of the Research Committee of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. I welcome Advocate Kashyap Bansal ji from Udaipur, the lake city of the country, and of course CA Amit Agrawal ji from the Research Committee and Dr. Amit Agrawal ji. And we are having around 4,000 plus viewers, delegates from each and every part of the world. So I welcome all our honorable viewers on behalf of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, on behalf of the Research Committee. And friends, we know that we are passing through from a very, very tough time. The second wave of corona pandemic is there in our country. And keeping that thing in mind, we are trying our level best, as I am the chairman of the research committee, as well as chairman of the Committee on Capital Markets and Investors Protection, to organize more and more virtual knowledge giving programs, so that we chartered accountants can be engaged in the knowledge enriching activities, and we can update our knowledge and can be away from the negative thoughts and negative newses which are there everywhere, whether it is social media or electronic media. So I request all of you to please see that how we can enrich our knowledge, can update our knowledge, which will be not only good for yourself, but also the profession and in turn for the nation also. So I welcome once again all our honorable viewers in this very, very important webinar on guide on designing research questionnaire. Friends, in its wonderful journey of 71 long years in the service to the nation, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has always worked for the best of all its stakeholders, aided the government in its endeavors, and always been a partner in nation building. The Institute has achieved recognition as a premier accounting body, not only in the country, but also globally, for maintaining highest standards in the technical and ethical areas. Research has been integral to accounting profession since the formation of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. The Research Committee of ICAI is one of the oldest technical committee set up in 1955 with a view to undertake research activities to improve the quality of services rendered by the profession. The initiatives of the Research Committee are many. Last year, fortunately, I was the chairman of the Research Committee, and we took a lot number of initiatives. We introduced ICAI Doctoral Scholarship Scheme. This ICAI Doctoral Scholarship Scheme is open for all the members of the institute who are pursuing PhD and are not more than 40 years of age on the last date of application. The scheme aims to provide scholarship to the adult candidates having outstanding academic record in 10th and 12th standard and an inclination and commitment to undertake research in the areas such as auditing, taxation, commerce, management, and accounting discipline. The scholarship of rupees 50,000 per month for 3 years will be given to 5 scholars. The last date for submission of the application is 31st August 2021. So I will request all our honorable viewers who are inclined towards a serious research, they can be the part of this ICAI doctoral scheme. Of course, it is a tough competition, so the best they will certainly get that scholarship under this scheme. Then ICAI scheme. Last year, in spite of this pandemic corona, we introduced this research project scheme for the first time in the history of the institute. It is also open for the members having experience of more than 10 years either in practice or in employment. The maximum amount of rupees 10 lakhs will be given, and the applicants will be given the time duration of 6 months for completing the research projects after the research proposal is approved by the research committee. The scheme is open around a year, and I am very, very happy to share with all of you that despite of the corona pandemic, 7 research projects last year we approved, and these research projects were completed within the given time frame of 6 months, and all these research projects are not only good for the profession and the society, but also for the nation. So we are trying our level best to prove ourselves as a true partner in nation building, which was told by none other than APJ Abul Kalam, our ex-president of the country, which was also from the God's own country, Kerala, if I'm not wrong. So then we initiated that ICAI International Research Award last year. The award could be considered as the world's largest cross-border competition with an objective to encourage and provide recognition to research scholars across the globe and their contribution in fostering research studies leading to innovation and value creation. The scope of the awards would be to identify the topics of international and societal importance, encompassing areas of accounting, auditing, economics, finance, and taxation. The last date for submitting published research paper is 31st May 2021. And last year, in spite of Corona pandemic, around 100 nominations were there. And from more than 10 countries, very, very important accounting bodies. And I'm really very happy to share with you that the award winners were from 10 different countries. And this year we are planning to have the ICAI International Research Award in the month of August, September in Dubai. And friends, you will not believe that in Gulf countries, we are having very, very strong presence of the members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Around 20,000 chartered accountants are there who are contributing for the development of the Gulf countries. And practically, I am of the firm belief that no country can really go ahead unless and until there is very, very active contribution of the members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, who are undoubtedly the best accounting professional across the globe. Then friends, ICAI Awards for Excellence in Financial Reporting. ICAI, through its research committee, has been making sustained efforts since 1958 to promote high quality financial reporting through the annual awards competition, ICAI Awards for Excellence in Financial Reporting, wherein the entities are being recognized for following sound financial practices amongst their peers. The awards are open for the corporates to submit their annual reports in order to recognize and encourage excellence in preparation and presentation of financial information. Last year, we have received the highest number of entries for the awards in the last 7 years, in spite of the year affected by the Corona pandemic heavily. This year, categories of awards have been revised. A new category of municipal body has been incorporated. The last date for submitting the entries is 30th September 2021. So I will request all of you to please disseminate this information so that more and more corporates can be the part of this competition. Friends, ICAI has always dealt with hardships and responded to times of crisis. Every challenging circumstance which presents disorder and fear is the best occasion to learn more and fear less. Amidst this the chaos caused by the global pandemic of COVID-19, the Institute of Chartered Accountants has come up with several enabling measures and initiatives to promote knowledge as the ultimate weapon. The Institute has always remained at the technological forefront. The Institute has always been keen towards adapting and upgrading the skills of professionals in tune with the changing requirements. Against this backdrop, the Research Committee has come up with this live webinar on Guide on Designing Research Questionnaire, which is being attended by more than 4,000 chartered accountants from each and every part of the world. Rightly said, research is a search for knowledge. Research goes beyond the process of gathering information. Rather, it is also about finding answers to unanswered questions as part of discovering and creating new knowledge. At the beginning of any type of research, it is important for the researcher to determine the most
I think there is a technical glitch. I think there is a technical glitch. The chairman side. So sorry for this disturbance. I think we should continue with the session. So now I would request Dr. S. Kevin for deliberation on his topic.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very much.
Okay, so respected CA Anuj Goel, Chairman, respected Dr. Amit Kumar Agarwal, Secretary, CA Kashyap Bansal, office bearers of the Research Committee, participants from different parts of the world, a very good morning to all of you. I'm really delighted to be present here. I should at the outset thank the research committee of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for inviting me for this session. So many people are participating. As already mentioned by the chairman, research chairman was just mentioning about what is research. Earlier, Dr. Amit Kumar had mentioned the importance of the topic data collection, questionnaire and data collection. So already the topic has been introduced to you. The importance of the topic has been introduced to you. So I will go straight into my presentation with good wishes to all of you. Listen to the presentation. I usually convert it into a class. So forgive me if I convert it into a conventional class because I'm used to taking classes, So I know that you're all professional, senior professional members, experienced auditors and tax practitioners, but forgive me for treating it as a class, just because that is the way I usually do. So keep your questions ready. As we go along, either you can ask in between or you can ask at the end. I think it is planned towards the end of the session. The question answer session is planned.
Yeah, so, Professor Kevin, so usually what we do, we have sense of our chairman also. So, so there was some disturbance, technical glitch at his side. So when you finish your session, then we will take up the question and answer. And chairman, you can suggest if you want to take up the question answer in between also. I think some of the question we can take up in between so that he can mold his whole deliberation accordingly. If some advanced queries receive, so you may, Chairman sir, you may take up the queries in between.
That would be good, yes. We'll go ahead like that. Yeah. So after, say, around 12, we will have one question answer session and then we can have it in that. Like that.
Okay, right.
Thank you.
So, Chairman, sir, you want to continue the speech? You want to continue?
No, you go ahead, sir. You go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will go to my presentation. I will switch off the video and go to the presentation so that you will get a clear picture. Yes, so I think you can see the slide. Questionnaire.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, questionnaire, a simple word, but it is an important word. One second. It's a very important word in research. We know that research, as the chairman has already pointed out, it is finding new knowledge, trying to find answers to unanswered questions. So in research, we want to get answers to questions. We want to clarify certain things. We want to find out something new. So for all that, this questionnaire is a tool for collecting data. Research process involves different steps. We select a topic, we identify a research problem, we formulate a topic, then we formulate a research design, then we have to collect data, for which we select a sample respondents from whom the data will be collected. Then we have a questionnaire or an interview schedule using which we collect the data from the sample respondents. The data will be analyzed, interpreted, and presented in the form of a report. This is how a research is conducted. So you can see that this questionnaire is a very important step. Preparation of the questionnaire and collecting data using the questionnaire is a very important step in the research process. So we are going to see how to do that. So this is a presentation. 1 second. Yes. Okay, it's a research tool. As I said, questionnaire is a research tool for primary data collection. There are two types of data. One is secondary data, which we collect from journals, books, reports, and so on. Primary data is collected directly from the respondents who are involved with the research problem. So for collecting the primary data, questionnaire is the research tool used. And naturally, the quality of the research depends upon the reliability and validity of the tool. So the whole research depends upon this tool. If your tool is not good, your output, your outcome is not going to be good. So the importance of the tool, we know the importance of any tool. The tool is important for collecting data. So here also the quality of the research, the reliability of the research will depend upon the tool. Hence, we should know how to prepare the tool correctly. So what we are trying to understand is how to prepare a good questionnaire. This is the purpose of today's webinar. To make you understand the importance of the questionnaire, let me give a sample. Best Cities Survey, a prominent Indian newspaper. I do not want to mention the name of the newspaper. A prominent Indian newspaper conducted a survey to find out which are the best cities in the country. They have a research wing, so they had a questionnaire, and one of the aspects which they studied was the physical infrastructure of the cities. To find out the physical infrastructure, they had a question. This was the question: how would you rate your city in comparison to other cities in India on these parameters? So this is the question: how would you rate your city in comparison to other cities in India on these parameters? And they are given a scale. The scale was very good, 5, very good, good, average, poor, very poor. So the respondents were asked to rate using this particular scale. The first parameter was power and electricity situation. What was the power and electricity situation in your city in comparison to other cities in India? If it is very good, you give 5 marks. If it is good, 4, 3, 2, etc. The second parameter was piped water facilities. Very important. Public transport facilities, again, very important as far as the city is concerned. Traffic situation, is it overcrowded? Is it manageable? Is it comfortable? Parking facilities in the city. So these are 5 parameters which were to be rated on a 5-point scale. It's a 5-point scale. Remember the question: how would you rate your city in comparison to other cities in India? Now let us try to fill up this question. Each of you, take your city. Most of you may be from Mumbai or other cities. So let us take people from Mumbai. So there are a number of people attending this webinar from Mumbai. You are trying to answer this question. How would you rate your city? Fine. Your city is Mumbai. In comparison to other cities in India on these parameters, power and electricity situation in your city, how is it in comparison to other cities? Is it very good? Is it good? Average? Poor? Very poor? You can do it. Those of you who are attending, try to find out what is the power situation in your city in comparison to other cities. So give the marks as you like, 5 or 4 or 3 or 2. Pipe to water facilities, give your rating, 5, 4 or 3. Public transport facilities, 5, 4 or 3. Now it's easy to answer. You will get some numbers here. Definitely you will get some numbers. But the first person who is from Mumbai, he is trying to rate Mumbai in comparison to other cities in India. So which other city? That is the question. He may compare Mumbai with Pune. The second person may compare Mumbai with Nagpur. The third person may compare Mumbai with Calcutta. The fifth person may compare Mumbai with Delhi. Another person may compare Mumbai with another city. So what is the answer that you are getting? Is it comparable? Is it the true information? Because we want data. We want data, true information, complete information, because only then your research will be truthful. Because my definition of research is the search for the truth. Whenever I teach research, I say I define research. There are so many definitions of research, but my definition of research is the search for the truth. So you want to find out the truth. What is the position of all these 5 parameters of your city in comparison to other cities? So the answer, this question gives you an answer which is incomparable, therefore which is not true, which does not give the truth. You got the defect of this questionnaire. So this was a question designed by the research and development wing of a prominent Indian newspaper. They conducted the survey. There are so many questions like this. This is only one of the questions which I chose. All the questions are of the same pattern. All the questions of the same pattern. One deals with physical infrastructure. The next one will deal with another aspect of the city. So they are dealing with different aspects of the city, but the structure of the question, structure of writing is the same. So you see, this questionnaire is defective because it does not give you the correct picture, correct truth. So if a prominent Indian newspaper and their research and analysis wing can make such a mistake, we poor researchers definitely will make mistakes. So we have to be extremely careful when we are dealing with the questionnaire. That's what I wanted to share with you. See, actually it should have been, how would you rate your city in comparison to? A benchmark should have been specified. Instead of saying other cities, a benchmark should have been specified. And then all those who have visited that city only should answer. The others will not be able to answer naturally. Only those who have visited that benchmark city. So the benchmark here is not specified. That is the defect of this question. And the benchmark has to be specified. So there are so many mistakes that you can make while preparing a questionnaire. I just wanted to point out to you, questionnaire is very important. You have to very carefully, diligently prepare your questionnaire, do a pilot study. Only then you can collect the data, and only then you will get the correct, full information. Okay, so let us move on to our topic, the questionnaire. The questionnaire has 4 dimensions. Any questionnaire has 4 dimensions. The first is the context of the questionnaire. We are conducting a study, we are preparing a questionnaire to collect data from a particular group of respondents. So the context means the respondents from whom you are going to collect the questionnaire. Okay, fine. That depends upon your topic, your problem of the study. The second aspect or second dimension of your questionnaire is the content. What is included in the questionnaire? What is the content? What are the questions that you have included there? And this is mostly derived from the literature survey that you do, the theory regarding your topic, and also it includes the variables and measurement of the variables. So what are the variables of the study? How do you measure the variables? So all this is coming under the content, and this is a very important dimension of the questionnaire, the content. So the questions, there are many questions included there. These questions are dealing with the variables of the study. We are trying to measure these variables. All these aspects are in the part of the contents. And from where do we get this? We get this from the literature survey. You read previous studies, read articles, read the theory regarding your study. Then you will get the variables, and then you will know how to measure the variables. So this is a very important part, dimension of the questionnaire. Next, the third dimension of the questionnaire is configuration of the questions. How do you configure? How do you frame the questions? It refers to the framing of the questions. That framing of the question is very important because that will affect the truth of the answers. The questions we will see, all this we are going to see. So the framing of the question is equally important to get the truth. We want the truth. To get the truth, especially in confidential matters, in psychological matters, attitudes, behaviors. So if you want to get the truth, the questions have to be framed in a particular format way. And this framing of the question will also influence the data analysis because we want numbers. Through the questionnaire, we should get numbers. We should measure the variables. We should have quantitative numbers. Only then you can do analysis. Because every research, especially now, research deals with data and analysis using different statistical tools and softwares. So to apply the tools, the softwares, we require quantitative data. So the question should be configured in such a way that you should collect quantitative data. How do we do that? We are going to see. The last dimension of the questionnaire is the quality of the questionnaire. That is, what is the reliability of the data? What is the validity of the data? So all that depends upon how you frame the question, how you prepare the question. So if your questionnaire is correctly framed, then you will get reliable, valid data, and the results will be significant and relevant to the situation that you are studying. You are trying to find out the answers to some questions, and you will get the correct answers. So these are the 4 dimensions: the context, who are the respondents, the content, what is to be asked, what are the variables, and how are we going to measure them, how configuration, how are we going to frame the questions, quality, what is the reliability and validity of the questionnaire, how do we ensure that your questionnaire is good. We have some methods by which you can ensure that the questionnaire is good. So we are going to concentrate on the second and the third in this presentation because there's a time limitation. So the content and the configuration will be concentrating on these 2 dimensions of the questionnaire. The context, we take the context briefly. I'll just mention about the context. Survey constitute the principal source of primary data in social science research. When we are doing a social science research, that means a research dealing with people. Social science research means research dealing with people, their activities, their behaviors, their attitudes, perceptions. So when we are doing such a study, we are dealing with people, we want to collect primary data, and we conduct a survey. That is what we normally do. And this survey is a fact-finding study. We want the fact, we want the truth. So we have to frame the questionnaire in such a way that you get the truth. So survey is a fact-finding study or a field study. We will go to the field and meet the respondents and try to get the data. For that, we select a representative sample of the population is selected for the survey. How to select the sample, that is a different topic. I'm not going into that. That's altogether a different topic, which is part of the research process itself, sample selection. So a representative sample will be selected from the population, and we will be collecting data from the sample only, not from the population. Now, this survey includes many questions. It covers a wide range of subjects. It may start with the demographic characteristics of the respondent, like his gender, his residential status, and so on. Then we move to social conditions, we move to the economic conditions, if necessary. Then we move to the people's opinions and attitudes regarding the topic that we are studying. Then we move to the people's behaviors and activities based on their opinions and attitudes. How are they behaving? How are they acting in certain situations? So depending upon your study, so on that study, there are people have certain opinions, attitudes, behaviors, activities, etc. The first 3 parts are easy to get. Demographic characteristics, social conditions, economic conditions are easy because they are visible to some extent. But people's attitudes, opinions, behaviors, activities, they are not visible to the questionnaire person who is collecting the data. It is in the mind of the respondent. His opinion is in the mind of the respondent. His attitude is in the mind of the respondent. How do we read the mind? It's not possible to read the mind. Then how do you get this opinion and attitude? The true attitude, the true opinion, the true attitude, how do we get? That's the challenge. That's the challenge. Similarly, the activities and behaviors we do not see. We are going to collect data. We are only meeting him for about half an hour. So we are asking him about his behaviors and activities. We don't see them. It is not a participant research. We are only collecting data through a survey. It's a survey, not an observation study. So in a survey, we ask questions about their behaviors, about their activities, but we don't see them. So they are giving some answers. So is it the true answer? How do we get the true answers regarding people's behaviors, activities, opinions, attitudes, which are in their minds? How do you read the mind of these people? This is the real challenge of questionnaire. When preparing questionnaire, the last two is very difficult to get. We will see how we can overcome this challenge. So the questionnaire preparation, the steps involved in the questionnaire preparation is, first of all, we have to list out what do we want, what are the information needs, what do we want to find out, what is the information that we want to find out. So listing out those information needs, then we have to convert them into questions. These information needs have to be converted into questions. The framing of the question, the configuration is important here. And then the questions have to be arranged in a logical order. You start with simple questions, open questions regarding things which are very easy to, which are visible, like gender, residential status, and things of that sort. Then we move to their attitudes, behaviors, opinions, and so on. So we move from simple questions to complicated questions. It's called the funnel method, which we are using, is sequencing general and broad questions followed by specific questions, so that the respondent does not feel uncomfortable answering questions. So there should be a logical order, sequence. He should feel comfortable answering these questions. Even without his knowledge, we are trying to get some information from him, which is in his mind. Then we have a pilot study to try out. Pre-test pilot study is done whether this questionnaire will really give you the correct answers. A pilot study is done. Then some modifications will be based on the pilot study. Some modifications will be done to the questionnaire, and the final draft will be ready. And you can collect the data using the final draft. And once the data is collected, the analysis, we move to the analysis part. So this final draft, the question should be framed in such a way that we collect the necessary information, the true information, in a quantitative manner. That is, we should measure the variables, we should get numbers also. So these are the things that we are going to understand. How do we do all these things? Okay. So now we move to the contents of the most important part, the contents. Second dimension of the questionnaire, content. What are we going to ask? How are we going to ask? How are we going to ask is the configuration. Actually, both of them will be overlapping. So what are we going to ask? How are we going to ask? What is the content? The questionnaire seeks information on different types of variables related to the study. So our study has many variables. I'll take an example, then you will understand what is meant by variables. So every study deals with some variables. So the questionnaire is trying to get information on the different types of variables related to our particular study. Now, these variables may be objective and subjective. Objective means which is visible, which is related to the object. What is the income? Examples, I have given examples here. Income of the person, the marital status of the person, the gender of the person. So these are generally known, visible. The marital status, even if he tells a lie, we can find out. So because it is known to everybody there in society, the gender, the income. So these are objective variables. Then there are some subjective variables. The feelings of the person, the attitudes of the person, the perceptions of that particular respondent towards the subject of study, towards what we are asking. So this is subjective because it is in that person's mind. It varies from one person to the next. It is subjective. It is hidden. It is not visible. Only he knows. We do not know. Nobody knows. The other people do not know. The neighbor doesn't know. Whether a person is married or not, the neighbor will know. But what is his feeling? Nobody will know. His family members will not know. His neighbors will not know. Only he knows. So it is in his mind. So how do you find out the true feelings, the attitudes, perceptions? So the subjective variables is the challenge. Questions regarding objective variables, it's very easy. We can ask them questions directly and you will get the answers. But how do you ask questions to get the subjective variables and how do you ensure that the subjective variables, the answers to the subjective variables are true, at least 50% true, if not 100% true? For that, we have to operationally define the subjective variable. What do you mean by the feelings? What is meant by this attitude towards this aspect? What is the perception regarding this? What do we mean by that? So it has to be operationally defined. Secondly, it has to be measured. The perception, is it low, medium, high? So is it adverse? Is it positive? Is it negative? The attitude, feelings, is it positive, negative? How much is it? Is it very, very high, very low? So it has to be measured. So the subjective variables is the challenging part of it. First of all, we have to define what we mean by this particular attitude, this particular perception, etc. Secondly, we have to measure it, whether it is positive or negative, high, low, medium, etc. So all these things have to be done in the questionnaire. That is, the content of the questionnaire has to take care of the operational definition, the measurements of the variables, etc. And that is what we are going to see. How do we do it? Operational definition. Now, a variable is a concept which is very broad. A variable, because we are going to study about variables, but this variable is a concept which is very broad. I'll give an example. Job satisfaction. Job satisfaction, you are going to study about job satisfaction. Fine. Job satisfaction is a variable, but it is a concept. Concept means it is very broad. It's very broad. Job satisfaction includes many things. It includes many things. It's not a simple concept. It includes many things. So it has got, we can say, it may have many dimensions. The job has many dimensions. See, there is a work involved there. The money part, what are you going to get when you are doing the job? Then what is you have to deal with your superiors, subordinates, etc. So you have to deal with many people. So there's an environment where you are working not in the vacuum, you're working in a particular office or say a place. So there are so many dimensions to that job satisfaction concept. Again, each dimension, actually the dimensions are the components of the variable. Job satisfaction, the job comprises of the actual work which is involved there, the money which you are going to receive, the environment in which you are there, the complaints which you have regarding the job, then your dealings with working with so many people. So all these are the subcomponents, dimensions of your concept of job satisfaction. Then this dimensions again may have separate elements. Simple example is you are working somewhere, you are getting money. You have a remuneration. But this remuneration has many elements there. There is a salary component is there. There is a leave aspect is there. You have medical leave there, different kinds of leave. Then you have other compensations. So the remuneration part is a dimension which again has many small elements. So I hope you can understand what is meant by a concept which is very broad. It will be subdivided into dimensions, and each dimension will again be subdivided into elements. The smallest part is called the element. Elements are the measurable aspect or features of each dimension. So we'll take an example, then you will understand better. So remember the three letters here. Concept, dimension, element. CDE, easy to remember. CDNE. Concept is very broad. Dimension is a subdivision of the concept. And elements are the smallest parts of the concept. So when you study job satisfaction, you cannot study job satisfaction per se. You have to start from the elements. You have to study about the elements. Then the elements constituting a dimension will be studied. Then whether you are satisfied with each element. Then if you are satisfied with each element, then you are satisfied with the dimension to which it belongs. Then if you are satisfied with all the dimensions of the job, then you can say your job satisfaction. You can measure your job satisfaction. So this is the operational definition. Because job satisfaction is a subjective variable. It is in the mind of the person. It is psychological. It is not visible. It is an attitude, perception, feeling within the mind of the person. It's a subjective, psychological. So it's a subjective variable which has to be operationally defined and measured. Okay. Operational definition. What the operational definition, what we have just now done is, we are breaking down the concept into observable and measurable behaviors or elements and groups them in different categories called dimensions. So the smallest measurable aspect is the element. These elements can be grouped into different dimensions, and the different dimensions constitute job and job satisfaction. This is an example which everybody will understand. That's why I took job satisfaction, because all of us will understand job satisfaction. In any study, similarly, there will be variables, other variables. And this variable is a concept. It has to be subdivided into dimensions and then again subdivided into elements. In other words, this is a graphical representation of the operational definition, concept, dimension. Each dimension can be subdivided again into E1, E2, E3, etc., and so on. So let us prepare the dimensions and elements of the concept job satisfaction, which I just now mentioned. Job satisfaction, we are going to make a study about the job satisfaction. But before we make a study of the job satisfaction, we have to find out what are the elements and what are the dimensions. Normally in a regular class, I do it as an exercise where the students are asked to write down. They will be given about 15-20 minutes to write down the dimensions, elements. We will discuss and present and so on. But here, there is no scope for such a detailed preparation. So I will just give it to you. And we will try to understand, because within our limited time, that is the only possible way. Job satisfaction, see here. Dimensions and elements. Job satisfaction is the concept. We are going to understand the dimensions and elements. The dimension, the first dimension is the work itself. You are doing some work. But again, work again is a broad concept. It has to be subdivided into elements. What is the nature of the work? What is the pressure of the work? What is the ease of doing the work? What is the work environment? These are examples. You can add more examples, more elements. I'm just giving you a few elements so that you understand the difference between dimensions and elements. So all these relate to work, and work is one aspect of the job satisfaction. Now, you can ask questions about the nature of work, the pressure of the work, the ease of doing the work environment, etc. We can in fact measure. We have to measure what is the nature, what is the ease of doing business. We have to measure that. We'll see how to measure it. The second dimension is relation with superior. Definitely you will have a superior. So the relation with the superior is an important aspect which affects your job satisfaction. It can create dissatisfaction or it can create satisfaction. So this is a dimension, relation with the superior. Now, what do you mean by relation with the superior? What is involved in that relation with the superior? It involves guidance received, recognition of the work that you are doing, supervision of the work that you are doing, the comfort level of the relation. So some of the aspects regarding the relation with the superior. So relation with the superior is the dimension. The elements are, what is the guidance received from him? Are you receiving proper guidance from him? Is the superior recognizing your work? Is he supervising your work and giving you directions? What is the comfort level? Are you afraid of him? Are you comfortable with him? Or are you too familiar with him? So all these things have to be understood. So your job satisfaction means you have to understand each of these things. Only then you can. So you cannot study job satisfaction straight away. Before studying job satisfaction, we have to, any subject for that matter, any subject. This is an example. So before studying any subject, we have to understand what are the dimensions and elements of the variable. So we are subdividing the job satisfaction into different aspects. And then within each aspect, what are the small elements that we have to look into. Social status of the job. We are living in a society and each person has a job. And this job has a social status, very important. So again, that is a dimension. The elements are the society's perception of your job. You are a teacher. How does the society perceive you? You are a manager. How does the society perceive your job? You are a chartered accountant doing auditing work. So how does the society perceive your the status of your job? That's one aspect. The second aspect is the society's perception need not be always true. The self-assessment of the status. What is your assessment of the status? How do you feel about your job? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel that it is not a good job? It's not suitable to you? So what is your self-assessment of the status? So two aspects, one from the society, one from your side. Next is the participation in decision making. See, we are human beings, people. So it's a social science, we are dealing with people. So naturally people are not machines. So we have a mind, we act, we react. So we can be proactive, we can be reactive. So always decisions are made in the organization. Participation in the decision making gives you job satisfaction. See, it's a dimension which gives you job satisfaction, participation in decision making. So what is the participation in decisions? Are you participating in your decisions, in the decisions of the organization? Communication of the decisions. Are the decisions communicated to you? Or is there a lack of communication? Then communication of suggestions from your side and from the management side. So all these are elements of the dimension participation in decision making. And this dimension is something which increases or decreases your job satisfaction. I hope you are following what is meant by a concept, dimension, and elements. Monetary aspects, a very important aspect which gives you job satisfaction. The monetary aspects. This again is a dimension which has elements like salary is one element, perquisites is another element, promotion prospects, leave rules. See, all these are different aspects, different elements, salary, perquisites, leave, promotion. All these are elements of the broad dimension which is monetary aspects, and this monetary aspects increases or decreases your job satisfaction. Grievance redressal. Wherever you are working, there will be grievances. So is there a mechanism for redressing the grievance? Grievance redressal is a dimension. The elements are availability. Is it available? Secondly, is it effective, or is it simply just for namesake mechanism is available? So is it available? Is it effective? Then third important aspect is it fair? Is there grievance redressal? Is it functioning? Is it giving you fair results? So these are three important aspects or elements of the dimension grievance redressal, which again increases or decreases your job satisfaction. So if you want to study job satisfaction, you have to first of all divide them into dimensions and elements, and then we have to measure all these. The measurement we are going to study later on. Now we are trying to understand how to operationally define a variable called job satisfaction by dividing into or identifying the dimensions and elements. Now we are going to study something very, very important in a questionnaire in social science research. It is called constructs and items. Constructs and items. Perceptions, attitudes, psychological traits are not directly observable. Perceptions you cannot see, attitudes you cannot see, the psychological traits and feelings of persons you cannot see. It is not observable. But we want to find out. We want to know. We want to find out what are these perceptions, attitudes. So these are called latent variables. They are variables, but they are latent, invisible, hidden, and are sometimes called constructs. So these hidden latent variables are called constructs. Example. The perception of an employee regarding job satisfaction. That was what we were looking at. The perception of an employee regarding his job satisfaction is in his mind. We cannot see it. It is a latent variable. It is a construct. So how do you get information about this construct, which is in the person's mind, respondent's mind? Attitude of a consumer towards a product. A consumer has purchased a product. What is his attitude towards that product? It is in his mind. It is not visible to others. It is an example of a construct. But we want to know, the marketing people wants to know, what is the attitude of the consumer towards a product? Organizational commitment of an employee. An employee is working in an organization. Is he committed to that organization? What is his organizational commitment? Is he fully committed, or is he partly committed, or is not at all committed? What is the extent of his commitment? It has to be measured. It has to be found out. But it is in his mind. It is not visible. So how do we find out? This is an example of a construct. So constructs are perceptions, attitudes, and psychological information that we want to collect. Now, constructs and items. Let us look at this another word, second word, items. These constructs are assessed and measured with the help of several statements, both positive and negative, regarding the different aspects of the construct. Read this once again. These constructs are actually, how do you find out? These are psychological, hidden. So these constructs are assessed and measured with the help of several statements. We'll make several statements, both positive and negative statements, regarding different aspects of the construct. Say, consumers' attitude, organizational commitment of the employee, consumers' attitude towards a product. So regarding that, we will make several statements. And then the statements may be positive and negative. I'll give an example. I will give you an example. So these statements are called items. So these statements are referred to as items of the construct. So there is a construct called organizational commitment of the employee. It's a construct. It has to be measured. For that, we use several statements, both positive and negative, regarding the organizational commitment. And these statements are called the items of the construct. And a rating scale will be used to measure the items, these statements. These different positive and negative statements will be measured with a scale. Right, I gave you a scale in the beginning, the newspaper survey. 5 means very good, 4 means good, 3 means average, poor, very poor. So that's a rating scale. So suitable rating scale, such as the Likert scale or itemized rating scale, may be used for measurement. So in the case of psychological or subjective variables, a common practice is to take each construct or each attitude, each perception, then add different items or statements regarding different aspects of that construct, and measure these statements using a suitable rating scale and total the result. That is the measurement of that construct or psychological phenomenon. Let us take an example. Constructs and items, an example. Attitude towards e-learning. Nowadays, in the pandemic, last 1 year, we have adopted e-learning. We are not having regular classes in the universities and colleges, even schools. We are having online learning, e-learning. It's called e-learning. So what is the attitude towards e-learning? So people have different attitudes. They may like it, they may not like it. The parents may like it. What is the attitude of parents? What is the attitude of students? What is the attitude of teachers? What is the attitude of the management of the schools and colleges? So towards e-learning, very important topic nowadays, online learning. So what is the attitude towards e-learning? So each person has his own attitude, which is in his mind. We do not know. We cannot see it. So we can call it a construct. So how do you find out whether it is favorable, unfavorable, whether it is highly favorable or highly unfavorable? So construct, it is clear to you now. Items. We are going to formulate several statements regarding different aspects of e-learning. For example, use of IT tools enhances the quality of teaching. So a simple innocent statement. Use of IT tools enhances the quality of teaching. So we are going to ask this person whether he agrees with it, fully agrees, partly agrees, disagrees, partly disagrees. So we are going to simply ask him the question, do you agree with the statement? That's all. So we are trying to find out something which is in his mind, the attitude which is in his mind. So we are saying a simple statement, use of IT tools enhances the quality of teaching. Okay. So we are saying that IT tools are good for teaching, it enhances the quality of teaching. Do you agree? There's a scale. We are not simply asking him whether he agrees or disagrees. There's a scale. Fully agree, partly disagree, fully disagree, and so on. So there's a scale. So if he is in favor of this e-learning, if he is in favor of e-learning, naturally he will fully agree. But if he is doubtful, he will only partly agree. Sometimes he is fully against this e-learning. He doesn't like this e-learning business. So he will say fully disagree. So 1, he will give 1. 5 means fully agree. So accordingly, he will give a scale. A number is given. So we are measuring it. See, 2 things are happening. We are understanding the attitude. We are measuring the attitude by a number like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, etc. Secondly, face-to-face classroom teaching is an effective method of teaching. We have a simple statement. Face-to-face classroom teaching is an effective method of teaching. So a person who is in favor of classroom teaching will fully agree with this. A person who is inclined towards e-learning after studying, after so many online classes, he now likes online classes. Supposing a student likes online classes or a teacher likes online classes, then he will disagree with the statement. Face-to-face classroom teaching is an effective method. No, he will say online is effective. So he will disagree with that statement. It is difficult to switch over to an IT-enabled teaching learning process. So we are saying that it is difficult. That is, this online business is difficult. So that means a person who is in favor of offline classes will say, agree with this. A person who is in favor of e-learning or online learning will say, no, it is not difficult. It is very easy. You see that? So we are simply making some statements. Without his knowing it, he agrees or disagrees, and we are finding out the truth. So these statements are innocent statements. They will agree or disagree, and thereby we are finding out his attitude towards e-learning. This is called construction items. Adoption of IT tools in teaching learning has become a fashion. It is simply a fashion. It is not useful. What we are saying is that adoption of IT tools is a fashion. It is not useful. So that means a person who is not favoring e-learning will agree with this. But a person who is favoring e-learning will not agree with this. Use of IT tools promotes student-centric learning. Use of IT tools is good. It promotes student-centric learning. A person inclined to or favorable towards e-learning will fully agree with the statement. So, okay. So I think you have understood what is meant by construction items to measure psychological phenomena. We use these statements and measure these statements, and we will be totaling the scores that we get: 5, 4, 3, 2, etc. What is the score that you got for the first one? What is the score that you got for the second one, third one, etc. Total it. The negative score for the negative statements will have to be reversed. The negative score for the negative, because the face-to-face teaching is effective. A person who says face-to-face classroom teaching is effective, he fully agrees means, if he fully disagrees to a statement face-to-face classroom teaching is effective, he disagrees means he is favoring e-learning. So he disagrees by giving 1. So that has to be converted into 5 because he is favoring e-learning. Okay. So totaling the score, you will get the score towards e-learning. Another example, construct and items, an example. We saw job satisfaction. One of the dimensions there was relation with the superior, which has got different elements. See here. Let me come to that. Look here. See here. Relations with the superior. Relation with the superior is a dimension. It's a construct. The elements will have to deal with, the items will have to deal with the guidance received, recognition, supervision, comfort level. So we will be asking questions. We will be making some statements. We will be making some statements regarding guidance, and another statement regarding recognition, another statement regarding supervision, another statement regarding comfort level. Innocent statements may be positive or negative statements, and we will ask the person to agree or disagree. And thereby we are trying to find out what is his relation with the superior. So I'll give you that example. Okay, relation with the superior. Items. First one, my superior shows a great deal of recognition for a job well done. So my superior shows a great deal of recognition for a job well done. So do you agree with that? You say fully agree, partly disagree, etc. So this statement deals with the recognition that we are receiving from the superior. Second statement, I am satisfied with the guidance received from my superior. If he is not satisfied, he will disagree. If he is satisfied, he will agree. I feel that my superior is closely monitoring my work. If the superior is not closely monitoring his work, he will disagree. If the superior is monitoring his work, he will agree. He will give 5. If his superior is not monitoring his work, he will give 1, which means not at all. He doesn't fully disagrees. 1. Fully disagrees means 1. I am dissatisfied with the leadership that I am getting from my. I am dissatisfied. So if he is dissatisfied, he will fully agree. But if he is satisfied, he will disagree. See, supposing he is satisfied with the leadership, he will disagree by giving 1. 1 means fully disagree. So this is a negative statement. My relation with the superior is official in nature. Official, it is not comfortable, it is not friendly, it is purely official. So you may agree, disagree. Okay, so this is what is meant by a construct and items. Okay. So we have now, so far what I have done so far is, let me see the time now, it's already 12.
Sir, can we have some of the questions in the meanwhile?
Yes, yeah, that's why I was going to stop here and ask for questions, because one important part is over. Before to the measurement side, the participants can ask questions.
Yeah, thank you. So we are having a very nice deliberation of our honorable guest speaker. We are having certain questions. Sir, you can switch on your video, sir.
Yeah, definitely.
Amit Agrawalji?
Yeah.
Yeah. Urvi Jainji is having one query from Mumbai. I think, how can I start research for ICAI? So Dr. Amit Agrawal will respond. We are having a lot number of schemes, whether it is research project scheme, we have already disseminated to all the members at large. And in addition to that, lot number of research papers and research publications are there. Dr. Amit Agrawalji, we are having one query from Urvi Jainji from Mumbai. She is asking, how can I start research work for ICAI?
To start research work for ICAI, we welcome her at the research committee. She can take part in various initiatives of the research committee. And Amitji, you please note down her number and email ID. We will reach to her and we will involve her in various initiatives of the research committee. We bring out various guidance note, technical guide, research papers, and wherever mutually, wherever she has expertise or she is willing to contribute according to her knowledge and this experience, we will depute her in some way. Definitely we will.
Yeah, thank you. Then Tapan Kumar Mataji from Kolkata. How write a research proposal? How to write a research proposal? Kevin, sir?
Yeah. Now that again is a totally different topic, but I will just mention it. See, what you have to do is research means you have some problem. So you have to identify a research problem which requires an answer. So that some unanswered problem or question is there. That has to be identified. And then based on that, we have to formulate the topic. So that is the key aspect, is to find out what is an unanswered problem or question, then convert it into a topic, then you can formulate it. So for the time being,
Dr. Amit Agrawalji also will respond.
Yeah, yes.
Sir, for writing, how to write a research proposal, as rightly said by Professor, that it can, it's a wider subject and a different topic, because questionnaire, designing a questionnaire is one of the component of that whole chapter of how to write a research proposal. So at the lighter side, what I would suggest to the the curious that keep watching all the webinars and VCMs of research committee. You will learn how to write a research proposal.
That's a very good answer.
Very true.
Okay.
So, Parthaji from Kolkata,
Yeah.
how to structure the headings for the research document?
That is the topic.
How to structure the headings for the research document?
Yeah, that's right. So that again, see, everything depends upon the identification of the problem, research problem. Based on that research problem only, we can create the title. The title should reflect the research problem. So, for example, yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, first you complete, sir.
Yeah. So we have to say, for example, supposing in an organization, supposing we are studying a particular type of industry, and we are observing that industry, and we find that ideally people should be fully satisfied with the job that they are doing. But supposing you observe that they are not fully satisfied, so there is a problem there. See, there's a gap between the ideal situation. See, research problem can be defined as a gap between the ideal situation and the real situation. So the ideal situation is that everybody should be fully happy. But the real situation here is that some of them are not happy. So there's a problem. So you try to find out why are they not happy. So then you formulate the topic. So this is the most important aspect. Identify a gap between the ideal situation and the real situation in a particular environment, and that becomes a research problem, and it can be suitably converted into a research topic. Okay.
Then Pradeep Chiteji from Pune, kindly guide about role of pre-identification of proxy in questionnaire designing. Kindly guide about role of pre-identification of proxy in questionnaire design.
We are coming to that. The next part we will be looking into that, so that he can ask me towards the end. Okay.
Yeah. Then from Bengaluru, Amolji, what role does test of hypothesis play in designing unbiased questionnaire with special reference to defining null hypothesis and H1 alternate hypothesis?
Okay, so I have a topic. Usually I take webinars on hypothesis formulation and testing. Very important topic. So I think you can even later on, if you get some time, you can arrange a webinar on hypothesis formulation and testing, because how to formulate a hypothesis, how to test the hypothesis, very important aspect.
Yeah. Then, yeah. Should I ask next question?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then Pirveena ji from Sri Karyam, is a Likert type scale ordinal or interval?
It's an ordinal scale. Likert scale is an ordinal scale, because it is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's an ordinal scale. So we don't have 5.3, 5.7. So it's a ordinal scale. Ordinal. Okay.
Yeah. Then Mr. Partha from Kolkata again. Will it be an apple and apple comparison? Will it be an apple and apple comparison?
I don't get the answer. I don't get the question.
I think when he was deliberating, at that time he must be having anything in mind, then he was asking like that. Because it is not a live questionnaire.
Okay.
Then Gayatri ji from Thiruvananthapuram. Sir, if there is a standard questionnaire already available pertaining to the model, can we take it as such without any changes?
Yeah, that's a good question. So sometimes when you're doing a research, you may get a questionnaire from somewhere which is already standardized. So you can, I wouldn't suggest you take it as such without any modification, because your topic will be slightly different from the topic on which that questionnaire was used. So at least some modification may be necessary based on your particular topic. So based on your topic, make some suitable modifications, but the major part of the questionnaire can be used as it is. No problem.
So next question is from Ram Lakshman Nolakha from Mumbai. What factors and how to design samples to derive quality results?
Again, it's coming up in the next part of the presentation. We'll be looking into some of those aspects. Quality aspects are there. The last dimension, quality dimension, is the last dimension out of the 4 dimensions, So it will come up there.
Then Mr. Satyanarayan from Vadodara, difference between basic research and applied research. Be explained with practical example, please.
Yeah, basic research is some theory. We are take some theory and see if the theory is applicable. Practical research means we are actually taking something which is happening in the field. So, for example, a person take bank loans. People take bank loans, so they don't repay. So that's a practical problem. Repayment default. So we are studying why are they not paying. What are the factors contributing? So that is a practical application of the research. That is an example, concrete example of a practical research. So actually, the research should be more practical.
Yeah. Then Ram Lakshman Nolakha ji from Mumbai. What are best mode of communicating questionnaire for quality assessments?
Questionnaire. Nowadays, there are so many online modes can be used. Formerly, we used to go directly to the respondents and give them the questionnaire, fill up, get it filled up by them. But now, so many sharing using online modes, networking we can use. So all those methods are okay, provided the respondent is also able to react to that. Okay.
Yeah. Then A.S. Deshpande ji from Pune. In case of abstract, that is latent elements gathering informations and drawing inferences, observation is a bit difficult. How to quantify in conclusions?
We are getting numbers. You see, I showed you. I'll show you again a table where we are going to collect the data with numbers. I'll show you with numbers, examples with numbers. Then you will see how quantification can be done. The next part, I will show you with numbers. So far, I did not include numbers.
Ram Lakshman Nolakha ji from Mumbai itself. What are the best mode of communicating questionnaire for quality assessments?
I think different modes can be used. Direct modes, depending upon the literacy status and the use of the respondents. If the respondents are computer literate, you can use the computers because that is the easiest way to communicate. Nowadays, it is the easiest way because it is faster and you can collect the data, and it goes to all over the country. So direct questionnaire distribution is it is localized, So the best method is networking.
Yeah. Then Gayatri Ranjit from Thiruvananthapuram itself. Ideally, how many questions should be there for a PhD thesis?
That is a very delicate question. It should not be too large. It should not be too small, because if it is too large, people will get, after filling up the question, after filling up about 30, 40 questions, then they will tick here and there. They will not truthfully answer the question. So that is very important, that you should have only the necessary questions, limited as far as possible, but too few also is not necessary. You can go to maybe 50, 60 questions is okay. Right.
The respondents taken for pilot study is approximately how much percentage of the sample? Can those respondents who were considered for pilot study be administered the questionnaire again during data collection?
Yeah, definitely they can be administered. Those who participate in the pilot study can be administered the final questionnaire. That is one thing. Secondly, the pilot study should be a small number. Maybe it depends upon the total number of respondents. If your sample size is 400, your pilot study may be 10%, 40, and so on. So some maximum 10% of the sample can be used in the pilot study.
Yeah. Then Gayatri ji again, is construct same as dimension?
It's more same. The dimension is technically called. Dimension is technically called. In some books, it is called dimension. In some other books, it is called construct. Both are the same. Different books use different terms.
And Partha from Kolkata, how to put the dimensions and elements in the research paper?
We have to explain operational definition. See, in the beginning, in the research methodology part, we give an operational definition of our topic. So there we can give what is our concept, what are the dimensions, what are the elements that we have studied. So in that methodology part, we have to define the operational definitions of our study concepts.
Yeah. Then CA Hemant Kadunia ji, my very good friend from Udaipur City of Lakes. Sir, kindly explain analysis process with the help of Likert scale. Which test parametric or non-parametric is applicable for Likert scale?
That again, as I said, that hypothesis formulation and testing, if you organize a webinar on hypothesis formulation and testing, so because there are so many tests that requires about 2-3 hours. So that has to be done in fact, 2 sessions will be required. One for hypothesis formulation, another for hypothesis testing, so that all the parametric, non-parametric tools can be explained, because these statistical tools cannot be explained fast also. I have to go very slow, because people will not fully go with me if I go fast. So I think for that, separate sessions are required actually.
Then C. Arpit Mittalji, my good friend from the Pink City, Jaipur, is appreciating the deliberation. Then Parthaji from Kolkata, I am also interested in ICAI research work. Kindly note down my email. Okay, we will note down. Then Anil Gupta ji from Delhi, he is also appreciating the deliberation. Kamini Garg ji from Bhatinda, what could be the initial step if I want to collect data about new corporate, like here I am asking for direct export.
Now there again, you have to find out what are the things that we want to know. I told you, listing out the information needs, the content of the questionnaire, that we have to list out and then frame the questionnaire accordingly. See, the questionnaire preparation takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. It cannot be done in 1 or 2 days, So, yes.
Then from Kerala itself, Urvasi ji, I think we have taken is certain variables are necessary for the preparation of questionnaire.
Variables are necessary because the contents of the questionnaire deals with the variables. So we have to identify the variables of our study, the different variables of our study, by reading the literature survey, theoretical framework, identify the variables, then subdivide them into dimensions and elements, then start preparing the questionnaire.
Then Rahul Pundeji from Pune, how to define sample size of population for survey? Are these any parameters? Are there any parameters?
Yeah, there are mathematical formulas are there, to find out the sample size. Cochrane's formula is used. Different formulas are used based on whether the population is finite or infinite. If the population is finite, we have a formula. If the population is infinite, we have another formula. So this is a statistical formula which can be applied, and you will get a number, say 385, 400, 420, and that number can be the sample size. So the sampling again is another important area of research. How to find the sample. What is the method?
Yes. Then C.A. Parthare again from Kolkata, can we set up a task force to do research in different topics and share our vast experiences? Amit ji?
Pardon, can you repeat?
He's asking, can we set up a task force to do research on different topics and share our vast experiences?
Yeah, of course we can. So you please suggest the name of experts who would be liking to be part of this task force.
Amit ji, you are at Kolkata. You please coordinate. He is also from Kolkata. Then Mukta Prabhakar ji from Hyderabad. Dear sir, informative and useful earlier conducted webinar. Please send link with regards. Okay. Mukta Prabhakar is asking for the PPT, etc. of the earlier webinars also. Yeah. Amit ji, you please take care. Then Pankti ji from Ahmedabad regarding ICAI research project, how to work for ICAI research projects. I am net qualified and interested in making career in field of education. Amit ji.
Yes, sir. Under ICAI research project scheme, a member who is having vast experience and proven research record of 10 years and having published research work can very well apply. Say open round the year. This scheme is open the round the year. My colleague Rahul will be reaching to you. We will be noting down to all the details and we will reach in.
Yeah. Then Parthaji from Kolkata, in case of legal subject, there may not be any ideal position as such. In such cases, how to go about the problem?
Yeah, the legal study research is slightly different from social sciences research, because social sciences research we are dealing with the general aspects, psychological aspects, but legal we have to, that's totally different, that has to be taken care of because the legal requirements are compulsory, mandatory. Whereas in social science, these things are not mandatory. They are ideal, that's all. So that both are totally different. So the methodology itself is different.
Yeah. Then Dr. Mohammad Noor Alam Hasmi, my very good friend from Kanpur, he is appreciating this webinar. Amit ji, he is asking for the big session on GST also.
Yeah, we will have. We will have.
Please note down Dr. Mohammad Noor Alam Hasmi from Kanpur. Then CA Kapil ji, he is also from Kanpur. Kapil Kumar Agrawal ji. He is also appreciating the efforts of the committee and the presentation. And Pirveena ji from Trivandrum itself. Sir, it is seen that the analysis is done by taking the average score on the basis of the Likert scale score. Is it correct to take the average of the ordinal scale?
Yeah, it is normally ordinal scale is okay. We can take the average. Only if it is nominal scale, we cannot take average because average has no meaning. In a nominal scale, in an ordinal scale, average is okay, no problem.
Then Nagalakshmi B from Telangana, how to decide the sample population is known or unknown population?
So there are different formulas for non-population, unknown population, infinite population, finite population. So the statistical books gives you the formula for that. There are statistical formulas.
Yeah. Then C. Jasmi from Gujarat, do we need to standardize the scale again after modification of an existing scale?
Not necessary. So if you have a properly adjusted, already used scale, it can be used with modifications relevant to your topic. That's all. If it is already standardized, there's no need.
And Hiral Joshi ji Nasik, I am interested in research work. Please note down my email. So Amit ji, you please coordinate about that Hiral Joshi ji. Then Rochak ji from Mumbai, the need to have some clarity on framing my question as I am a classical musician and want to do research that will combine my expertise as a CA and music both. Really need to know how to go ahead. Amit ji.
Yes, sir. We will reaching. It's a personal question, and we will one-to-one. We will be discussing.
Yeah, Kevin ji, you want to answer anything on this?
Yeah, no, because as you said, it requires a discussion. It requires discussion, because it's very interesting, music and CA. So it has to be discussed in detail.
Few of the questions we can take up at a later stage, sir, and in between we can complete the session.
The 2-3 questions I am taking. Sonal Janji from Surat. I am also interested in research with the ICAI. Kindly note down my email ID. We are noting it down. Then Gayatri ji again from Trivandrum, from how many journal papers review should be referred for questionnaire preparation?
No, I say it is not the number that is required. It is the relevant. We should be able to find out, identify, because nowadays you get a lot of articles, from paid and unpaid sources, a lot of articles. We have to identify the relevant ones relating to our topic and read them. That's all. Number is important. Sometimes 2, 3 are enough. So the relevance is more important than the number.
Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead with the further deliberation, and then in the end we will take the further questions.
Oh yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you. You can go ahead with your deliberation, please.
Oh yes. Okay. So I'll start my presentation. Thank you.
We are restarting the presentation. The rest of the presentation. Yeah.
So we are now moving to the second part of our presentation, which deals with the measurement of variables. Again, very important aspect of the measurement of variables, but comparatively easy measurement of variables. So we are going to understand, we are going to use, because if you want to measure something, you require a scale. We know that. If you want to measure the length, you require a scale. Similarly, you want to measure something, you require a scale. So we have what is called attitudinal scales. In research, we are going to use attitudinal scales. The first group deals with the rating scales, and the second group deals with the ranking scales. So we are going to understand what are the different rating scales, what are the different ranking scales. Rating scales. Let's start with the rating scales. The first simple scale is the dichotomous scale. Yes or no is the answer. Dichotomous means 2 answers. Yes or no. Are you married? Yes, no. So simple question, yes or no questions, but very limited use. In research, it has very limited use. Then we have a category scale where we are identifying the category of the respondent. Is he belonging to male or female? Is he belonging to urban, rural, semi-urban, residential status? So dealing with the different categories, demographic characteristics usually deals with the demographic characteristics. So they are important. This scale is called a category scale. Normally what we do is we give 1 to male, 2 to female, 1 to urban, 2 to rural, 3 to semi-urban, because all the answers have to be in numbers. In the questionnaire, the answers have to be in numbers. Only then we can analyze. We have to count, or we have to analyze, do some statistical applications. So all these answers will be numbered. So here we are using a nominal scale. Male can be 1, female can be 2, or male can be 2, female can be 1. It doesn't matter. It's a nominal scale. So that number has no relevance. 1 and 2 has no relevance. So such a scale is called a nominal scale. So it is also called a category scale. Then we have a Likert scale. It is a scale given by a person called Likert. That is why it is called Likert scale. It is dealing with agreements to a statement on a 5-point scale. 5 means fully agree, 4 means partly agree, 3 means neither agree nor disagree, neither agree nor disagree, 2 means partly disagree, 1 means fully disagree. So it's a 5-point scale. Likert scale deals with agreements to statements. It's commonly used. Then we have, see, this is the scale points. The scale points are given here. 5 means fully agree. So it's a 5-point scale. The scale points are 5 means fully agree, 4 means agree, 3 means neither agree nor disagree, 2 disagree, 1 means fully disagree. Now we have a composite scale or a score. Now we are moving to the next step where we have a composite scale or a composite score. That's more important. We want a score. Say several statements can be used to measure a particular attitude or perception. We saw construct and items. So items are statements measuring the construct. There where I gave you 2 examples, there were 5 statements in each of them. So let us say 5 statements are used to measure a particular attitude or a perception. And each of these statements is used to represent one aspect of that attitudinal domain. We have seen that. Construct and items. So each statement deals with one aspect, say like a relation with superior. One statement deals with recognition, one statement deals with supervision, one statement deals with guidance received. So each statement is used to represent an aspect of the attitudinal domain. And by summing up, so each statement has an answer, has a number, has an answer. So each statement has an answer or a score, which is 5 or 4 or 3 or 2 or 1. So there are 5 statements. Each statement has a number as an answer, as a score. So by summing up the respondents' responses to the multiple items or statements in the scale, the attitude can be measured. By summing up the scores for each statement, you get the respondent's total score for that construct. Let me give an example. Job satisfaction. See here. Look here. Relation with the superior. Relation with the superior is the dimension or a construct. There are several statements are given. The Likert scale is used. Score on the Likert 5-point scale is there. My superior shows a great deal of recognition for a well-done job. He fully agrees with that. So 5. I am satisfied with the guidance. He partly agrees. So 4. He has given partly agrees. That means 4. I feel that my superior is closely monitoring work. He is not very sure whether he is monitoring or not monitoring. So he is not satisfied fully. So 3. I am dissatisfied with the leadership that I am getting. I am dissatisfied with the leadership that I am getting. So he has partly disagreed with that. I am dissatisfied with the leadership I am getting. He has partly disagreed. So partly disagreed means, so I am dissatisfied. So that means he is not dissatisfied, he is satisfied. So it is actually fully, his relation with the superior is better. He is not agreeing with the statements. Therefore, the score has to be reversed. The 2 becomes 4 here. So reversed score. My relation with the superior is official in nature. Again, he partly disagrees with that. He has given 2 as the score. So that means he is not agreeing with the statement. Therefore, he is agreeing with this. He is satisfied with that this aspect of the relation. Therefore, the score is reversed and becomes 4. So the total score, the maximum score is 25, because each statement, if maximum score is given, 5 statements into 5, 25. Minimum score is 5 because each statement, if you are given minimum of 1 for each statement, the minimum score is 5. So the maximum is 25, minimum is 5. Here the total is 20. So this particular person, respondent, his relation with the superior is fairly good, because out of 25 he has got 20. So his particular, so this is a composite score of this particular constructor relation with the superior. So we have measured his relation with the superior and we got a composite score of 20, which is fairly good. So that means he has a fairly high relation with the superior. Similarly, for each respondents, the score will be calculated, and then you can go to the analysis part. That is the second part, is the analysis. Okay, now another scale, semantic differential scale or numerical scale. It's called a numerical scale or a semantic differential scale. So here what we do is bipolar attributes are identified at the extremes of the scale. Bipolar attributes are identified at the extremes of the scale. Useful, useless. Supposing we are trying to measure the utility of a product. So the two extremes are useful and useless. The respondent's attitude is indicated on a semantic space or a numerical scale. So sometimes you may be given useful, useless. So 7 spaces are given there. Useful means the first near the space near useful means fully useful, and so on. Satisfied, dissatisfied. Two extremes are satisfied and dissatisfied with the product. So 7 means is satisfied to the extent of 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So the respondent will tick anywhere according to his level of satisfaction. He will tick. Supposing he ticks 1, that means he is totally dissatisfied. If he ticks 2, he is almost dissatisfied. If he ticks 6, that means he is not fully satisfied, but he is fairly highly satisfied. So this is called a numerical scale. The numbers is called a numerical scale. If the space is given instead of the numbers, instead of specifying the numbers, space is given, then it is called a semantic differential scale. So always it is better to give the numbers. So a semantic differential scale we do not use. We nowadays use numerical scale. So 7, 6, 5, 4, etc. Now, this can be used for measuring the different qualities of a product or a person. See, supposing you want to measure the qualities of a person: helpful, unhelpful, friendly, unfriendly, harmonious, quarrelsome, cheerful, gloomy, two extremes. So the scale can be, the points can be 5 or 7 or 9. So you can decide the points. If you want a 7-point scale, okay, fine. If you want to have a 5-point scale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Or you can have a 3-point scale, 3, 2, 1. It's all up to you. It is left to the researcher whether you want to have a 5-point scale or a 7-point scale or a 6-point scale or a 9-point scale. It's all up to you. So it's called a numerical scale. Now this is good. Okay, so this I'm introducing to you different scales. You have to use the scale which is appropriate to your question. So we have a question. So what is the scale to measure the answer? So we have a question, we have an answer. The answer has to be measured. What is the scale to be used? You have to choose the appropriate scale. I am introducing to you different scales with examples. So the researcher has to understand the implication of the different scales and use it appropriately. Now, this is a useful scale, but there's a problem with the scale. That is a semi-literate person. He doesn't know what is the 6, what is 5, what is 4. Precisely what does 5 mean? What is precisely 4? What is precisely 3? So that confusion can be there in the case of a semi-literate or illiterate person. So we have another scale which is called itemized rating scale. Itemized rating scale. So it may be a 5-point scale or a 7-point scale with angers. Angers means descriptions for each number. For each number, there is a description, there is an anger, so there is no confusion. Anybody, illiterate, literate, semi-literate, anybody can understand. 1 means very dissatisfied. 2 means dissatisfied. 3 means neither satisfied nor dissatisfied. 4 means satisfied. 5 means very satisfied. So it is very clear. Itemized rating scale with descriptions for each number. Now, 2 types of scales can be used. One is a balanced with a neutral point here. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a balanced scale with a neutral point 3, which means neither satisfied nor dissatisfied. Then you can have an unbalanced scale without a neutral point. 1 means not at all satisfied. 2 means somewhat satisfied. 3, moderately satisfied. 4, very much satisfied. 4-point scale. It is unbalanced. There's no neutral point there. Okay, so 2 types of scales. The itemized rating scale can be balanced or unbalanced with a neutral point or without a neutral point. Then again, another question comes, which is better? Is this balanced scale better than the unbalanced scale? So that question is a difficult question. Now, you can choose any scale you want. That is up to you. The researcher has the freedom to choose the scale which he wants. He should be able to defend that. So, which is better? Say, I will just mention a few things about both the scales. If it is a balanced scale, the first one, if it is a balanced scale, sometimes when people are not very clear about the answer, they will take the third one, the middle one, because they are not very clear. So they don't think too much because there is a choice, neither satisfied nor dissatisfied. They will take that. So you may not always get the full truth. But in the second case, there is no neutral point. You have to think and answer correctly. You have to look at the answers, think about it and answer correctly because there's no escape point here. There's no neutral point with which you can escape when you are confused. So it is, you will get the truth in the second case because the respondent is forced to think and choose the correct answer. But then statistical analysis, when you move to the next step, when you're doing analysis, the analysis is based on several statistical tools. And most of these tools, especially the parametric tools, there are 2 types of tools, parametric and non-parametric. Parametric tools assume that the scale is normally distributed. That is, the scale is balanced, the first one. So they assume that the scale used is balanced, or no, it is normally distributed. That means it is balanced. That is the first one. So that assumption is there when we are using a parametric scale. The assumption is that the data collected through a normally distributed or balanced scale. So statisticians sometimes will question you, why did you use unbalanced scale? So if you are using an unbalanced scale, then you go for a non-parametric test because for every corresponding parametric test, there is a non-parametric test. So you can go for non-parametric tests. That is the escape. Okay, we are coming to the next scale. An example of this one. How do you rate the following product features? Use the following 5-point scale for it. I'm just giving an example. It's an itemized rating scale. An itemized rating scale. How do you rate the following product features? Product features, we are going to rate the product features. This is the scale. It's a 5-point scale, balanced scale, excellent, good, average, poor, etc. So quality, how do you rate it? Availability, pricing, promotion, packing. For each, how do you rate? So you may give 5, 4, 3, 2, depending upon your assessment of the product feature. Okay. Now we come to another type of scale, very, very important, very useful scale called a fixed or a constant sum scale. Fixed or constant sum scale. See here, respondents are asked to distribute a given number of points, say 50 or 80, across various items to measure the importance of each item. Supposing you want to measure the importance of each item, like the previous case, say here, you have the quality, availability, pricing, promotion, packing. You are going to buy a mobile. So what is the importance? Is quality most important, availability? So how do you relate the importance of these 5 qualities? So normally what we do is we ask them to rank this, give first rank to the most important, second rank to the next important, third rank to the next important, etc. So ranking is used. But then that ranking method is not very, very good because you give first priority, first rank to quality. Okay, fine. Second rank to pricing. So what is the difference between this? Is the quality as important as pricing, or equally less important than pricing? Third one is promotion, supposing. So what is the difference between quality, pricing, and promotion? Are they equally different, or are they unequally different? So if you are ranking 1, 2, 3, it means the difference between the parameters are equal. But that may not be the case. Therefore, we are giving them 50 or 80 points and asking them to distribute these points across the features of a product, like say price, quality, attractiveness, life, after sales service. Okay, look here. I'll explain. Supposing you think that you are concerned only about price, you are given 80 points or 50 points. You are given 50 points. You are concerned about only price. Okay, so you give 50 points to price, 0 to all the others, because you are not concerned about all the others. Supposing you are equally concerned about all these, you give 10 marks to each, 10 points to each, price 10, quality 10, attractiveness 10, life 10, after sales service 10, because you are equally concerned about each. In ranking, this cannot be done. You cannot give the same rank to all. So ranking, it cannot be done. Supposing you think that price is very important, so you can give 30. Quality is next important, you give 20. The others are not important, you ignore them. So price is 30, quality 20. Supposing you think that price is 30, quality 10, attractiveness 10. Okay, leave the rest of it. Or you can give marks for each of them. Price you give 20, quality 15, attractiveness 11, life 3, after sales service 8. Any score you can give. So it's very flexible. Very flexible, realistic. We are searching for the truth. Research is the search for the truth. So this very flexible, this fixed constant sum scale can be used instead of the ranking scale, and it is very flexible, very useful. So try to use it in your questionnaire. Then we have another scale called staple scale. Staple scale. Very interesting scale. Staple scale. It's a numerical scale ranging from say +3 to -3. +3 to -3. So the scale points will be +3, +2, +1, 0, -1, -2, -3. So these are the scale points here. +3, +2, +1, 0, -1, -2, -3. So it's actually a 7-point scale. So instead of this, you could have given a 7-point scale. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's okay. It's the same. In fact, we will convert it into, before analysis, we will convert it into a 7-point scale, because we cannot analyze these negative figures. We don't use the negative figures in analysis. So we convert this into a 7-point scale. +3 will be converted into 7, +2 will be converted into 6, and so on. Then why are we giving, when we are giving the questionnaire, why are we giving such a choice to the respondents, +3, -3, etc.? Why are we giving? This is useful in measuring the intensity and direction of the respondents. So the respondents are given an opportunity to express his feelings and the direction of the response. Like, for example, supposing the classroom management skill of a teacher can be measured on such a scale. A teacher is very poor in managing the class, so the students are totally dissatisfied. They will give -3. So that minus gives that intensity, the negative response, -3, and that intensity, they don't like the teacher at all with the way he or she is handling the class. So that intensity is, the students are given the opportunity to express that intensity through a minus figure, -3. So you will get the truth, the true feeling, the true perception. The true perception you will get, the truth. Or the relation between a superior and a subordinate can be measured on the scale. Supposing there is a superior and a subordinate, the subordinate does not like the superior, he hates the superior. So that hate can be expressed through a -3 or -2. So this is simply to get the truth, the feeling, the perception, the true perception can be obtained from the respondent, and then before analysis it will be converted into a 7-point scale. Because we want the truth. Example, evaluate the performance of a teacher on the following parameters. Use a staple scale. So question is, evaluate the performance of your teacher on the following parameters. The scale to be used is +3 to -3. It can be +2 to -2. It can be +4 to -4. So the scale can be different. Ability to make students understand difficult concepts. Supposing the teacher is unable to make the students understand difficult concepts, the teacher is confusing the students, then they will give -3. Preparation for the classes. Supposing the preparation is good, he is preparing, but he is unable to deliver. So preparation is good, they may give +2 or +1. Creating and sustaining interest in the topic. If he is able to do that, there will be a plus sign. If he is not able to do that, they will give -2 or -3. Willingness to clarify doubts. Some teachers do not like doubts. So they hate doubts from students. So then they will give -3. Okay, so this is the use of the staple scale. It is very useful to get the true feelings. Next scale that we are going to use is called the graphic rating scale. Another scale which is useful, symbol scale. The respondents are asked to indicate their response as a point on a scale, say a 1 to 10 scale, it's a 10-point scale. Graphic rating scale, simple scale. So different features of a product may be rated on a scale of 10. Different features of a product may be rated on a scale. The price may be rated on 10. The quality may be rated on 10. If the quality is very good, they may give 10. If the quality is very poor, they will give 1. If the price is reasonable, they will give 10 or 8 or 9. If the price is very high, they will give 1 or 2. So depending upon the different features of the product may be rated on a scale of 10. And therefore, different products can be compared also. The two products can be compared, two mobiles of two companies can be compared by asking them to rate the features of these two products on a 10-point scale. So one product may get all near 10, the other one may be getting all near 1. So that the first one is better than the second one. Okay. So this is called a graphic rating scale, a simple scale, 1 to 10, not 0. So because in scales, we do not use 0, we use 1 to 10. Likert scale, 5 to 1. Rating scales, 7 to 1. So 0 is not used there. 1 to 10, 5, 6, 7, etc. An example for a graphic rating scale, it's a commonly used scale. Evaluate your class participation behavior. Supposing you are participating in a class, you are doing many things in the class. What is your participation? How do you self-evaluate your participation? Say, for example, attentiveness in class. If you are very attentive, you give 10. If you are less attentive, 1 or 2. Participation discussions. If you do not participate at all, it is 1. It is not 0, it is 1. If you participate always, it is 10. Completion of assignments on time, 10. But average completion, 50% are completed on time, then 5. If you are not completing your assignments on time, 1. I hope I am not going too fast because of the time. It's already approaching 1. Therefore, my speed increased. Sorry. So, hope you are not disturbed with the speed. Completion of assignments, seminar presentations. You are doing your seminar presentation with full preparation. You will assess your performance as 10 or 9 or 8. If you are presenting seminars without preparation, you will assess it as 1 or 2. Okay. So these are the different scales, rating scales. All of them are rating scales, different rating scales. We have seen different rating scales. I'll just go through just the headings once again so that you can, we started with the, yes, Likert scale. We started with the Likert scale. Then we started the composite score. Then semantic scale or numerical scale. Remember that? Semantic or numerical scale, 5 points or 7 point scale. Itemized rating scale with the descriptions for each number. It can be balanced or unbalanced. Example. Then a fixed or constant sum, very useful, very flexible. Instead of the ranking scale, you can use it. Instead of ranking, you can use the scale, fixed or constant sum scale, very useful, very flexible. Then you have a staple scale, very emotional. The intensity of the emotions can be obtained through the scale, +3 to -3, +4 to -4, etc. Emotional scale, we call it an emotional scale. Then we use a graphic rating. It's a simple scale. Graphic rating scale is simple scale 1 to 10. 1 to 10, it is used for comparison of different products. This scale can be used for comparing different students. Now we move to the ranking scale. I'll conclude with that, the ranking scale, because I think your time is coming up. Ranking scale, this is familiar to you. The ranking scale, it is used to tap the preferences among different items. Supposing there are 7 items, you rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 3 methods are used. The first is a forced choice method where the respondents are asked to rank all the items in the order of preference. There are 5 items, you rank 1 to 5. That is a forced choice method. Assuming that the difference between first rank and second rank and third rank is equal. Paired comparison method where we take pairs, two items and say which is better. So out of the 5 items, we take pairs of each item. Supposing there are 5 items, so we take a pair of 2 items and say out of this which is better. Second pair out of this which is better, which is the first rank. The third pair again, the first item and second item, first item and third item, first item and fourth item, which is better, first item and fifth item, which is better, and so on. So paired comparison method. So that is a detailed comparison. Then we have a comparative scale method. Respondents are asked to compare the given items to another benchmark on a comparative scale. See, we started with the survey of the newspaper. Which city? Compare your city with other cities. So there was no benchmark there. See, there was no benchmark there. So that is one method, is to compare with the benchmark respondents. So is your city more useful or more prepared or better than this benchmark city? So the benchmark, respondents are asked to compare the given items to another benchmark on a comparative scale. We say more useful, about the same, less useful. So these are the ranking methods. It can be used wherever required. It can be used, but I would prefer the forced choice method score rather than the ranking scale. So what are the benefits of the measurement scales? The information is quantified. We have different measurement scales. We can choose them, but all of them gives you information in a quantified way. Further analysis then becomes possible. Meaningful inferences can be drawn through the statistical analysis. That's what I said. Hypothesis formulation and testing. Hypothesis formulation and testing. For that, we require data. So from this data, we can go to hypothesis formulation and testing, and meaningful inferences can be drawn. Hypothesis testing becomes possible through statistical inference. So that's a totally wide area. Okay, I think I will have to stop here because so many things are. Yes, Chairman, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for nice deliberation.
Okay.
We are having a lot of queries.
Yeah. So I'll stop the presentation. Let me just stop this presentation. Then we can answer the questions. Stop. Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
For great television. Mallika Sankarji from Bengaluru. Overall Likert scale scores are sometimes treated as interval data. In that case, can we use this for modeling?
It can be used for modeling because, see, actually the ordinal scale and the interval scale both are more or less equal, except the interval scale is more useful, but it can be used for modeling, no problem.
Yeah. Then Yogendraji from Kanpur is asking for the PPT. Amitji, you can take care of that. Arvind Singhji from the Bareilly is also appreciating the efforts. And then Mukta Prabhakar from Hyderabad. Best sample methods for both populations, finite and infinite.
See, different formulas are there. If it's a finite population, the formula is different from an infinite population. So, in fact, any book, I have written a book on research methodology for social sciences. So you can refer to my book. There the formulas are given. So I forgot to mention that. I have written a book, apart from, I have written books on finance subjects, but I have written a book on research methodology also. So you can refer to that, and you will get the formulas there. For finite population, it is one formula. For infinite population, it's a different formula.
Naga Lakshmi from Telangana, can you please mention that statistical textbooks?
Yeah, so she was mentioning. So Kothari, one book is, Kothari's book is very famous, Kothari Research Methodology for Kothari. So I would suggest my book because I have written in a very simple, practical way, how to take practical problems and do the analysis and do the, starting with the formulation of the topic, research problem, everything is dealt with. Analysis also is there. So the common analysis, everything is explained there with examples. So I will show you the title of the book. Just 1 second, sir. Just 1 second. So let me, so that's, it may be useful to people.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just 1 second.
Then CA Yogendra Arora ji also interested in the research project. Amit ji, you can note down from Kanpur. Vinod Bansal ji from Udaipur is also appreciating the efforts of the committee. Then Pravina ji from Thiruvananthapuram. Sir, do we need to test the reliability and validity when taking one of the standard tool for study?
If it is already standardized, and then you may not do the reliability and validity test. But if it is a new one, you will have to do it. You have to find out Cronbach's alpha. You know, Cronbach's alpha is there. So if it is new, it is not. If it is not standardized already, then you have to do the testing. Otherwise, you can mention the standardized test. So this is the, you can see the slide. This is my book, Research Methodology for Social Science, published by Ann Books Private Limited, New Delhi, 2019. The books has not reached the bookshops because of the pandemic. They were unable to distribute it to different parts of the country, but it is available online. Amazon, you can buy it. Other online sources also, you can buy the book. Very simple, very practical. It will be useful to you. Those who are doing research, practical research, it will be extremely useful. You can buy it online.
KP from Kerala.
Yeah.
Is it possible to frame and use our own variables instead of variables from previous works? Why in research, the researchers uses variables from previous study?
You have to, in fact, you have to create your own variables. I would suggest you have to create your own variables, but take, we refer to other previous studies and take some from there. But you finally, depending, because each study is unique in this way. Because our study will be, in some ways, it will be different from the previous studies. So in that respect, we can definitely, if you are creating your own variables, ideal. But with modifications from the previous studies.
Then Ammu from Kerala, for negative questions, do we have to reverse the Likert scale score always?
Yeah, definitely. Because otherwise, then the point is missed, you know. So supposing somebody is disagreeing with a negative statement, that means he's agreeing with the positive statement. So it has to be reversed. And all negative statements have to be reversed, score.
Then Partha from Kolkata, whether exit poll analysis is also a research document or it is different?
It is also a semi-research. I would call it a semi-research, not a full academic research, because it is done in a hurry with a limited scope. So it is research, but not a full research, semi-research, I would say.
Mallika from Bengaluru, what is your say on convenience sampling? Can we use that for a parametrics test?
Convenience sampling, in some cases, you know, we have to resort to convenience sampling because it may not be possible to do a random sampling. So convenience sampling, depending upon the situation, can be used. But then you have to test whether the data collected is normally distributed. If you are using a convenience sampling, what you have to do is analyze whether the data, collected data is normally distributed. If it is normally distributed, parametric tests can be used. If it is not normally distributed, non-parametric tests have to be used.
And Vidyaji from Kerala, which sampling technique can be used for undefined sample population?
As I said, the formula is there for undefined or infinite undefined population. There's a specific Cochrane's formula is there. It can be used. So it's a matter of applying the formula, that's all.
Then from Partha from Kolkata. Yeah. So thank you very much. Lot number of questions were there. Thank you very much for responding each and every question and for your nice delivery. Thank you very much. Over to Dr. Amit Advani.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin sir, for this wonderful topic and the insight you have given to our members and the viewers of today's webinar on very, very important topic. One of the tool of this whole research, the very important tool, designing the research questionnaire. And I'm at the same time, I'm very much thankful for my visionary chairman, CA Anuj Goyalji, although he is the organizer and under his able guidance. So there is no need of saying any thanks to him because he is the leader behind all these thoughts. But why I'm thanking him that because of his motivation, because of his understanding on the subject, he himself has promoted that we should give insight to our members on each and every topic, even minute to minute topics. That's why I'm, as a research scholar, I'm appreciating I'm thanking to my chairman. I'm thanking to Dr. S. Kevin, and I'm very much thankful to the viewers of this webinar. I'm very much thankful to the viewers of this webinar for their patience hearing and sparing their time. And thanks to one and all. With these words, I once again thank to everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Amit Agrawalji. Thank you, Kevin sir. Thank you, CA Amit Agrawalji and Kashyap Bansalji from Udaipur, and all our honorable viewers from each and every part of the world for being so proactive. And this was a nice interactive session. Lot number of queries were there from each and every member. And I will request all of you to please stay at home, stay safe. Please take very, very good care of yourself and your family members in this time of corona pandemic. And we are trying to have more and more programs on virtual platform so that we can enrich our knowledge, we can be busy in updating our knowledge, and we can be away from the negative thoughts and negative newses. And please be safe and please stay at home. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.